Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, where every journey starts with a little bit of magic.
Welcome to Castles to Cauldrons, episode number 14. I'm your host, Jason Davis. I'm here with Myka, Rachel, and Terri. We have some news that dropped recently about the Muppets Land and Monsters Inc. Land, Montropolis, whatever it's going to be called. We don't know officially yet. So Disney announced that on May 10th, Mama Melrose, which is the Italian restaurant, will be shutting its doors for the final time. And then on June 7th, Pizza Rizzo and Muppets Vision 3D will be shutting its doors for the last time. Figure we can talk a little bit about this and get thoughts, what everybody is going to do to mourn this, because obviously this is the biggest land that needs to be mourned. It's bigger than like closing Cinderella Castle.
For you, Jason. For you. I'm surprised in this that they're all not shutting down at the same time. Like, why is Mama Melrose being shut down before the other stuff?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
But also, why are they not also announcing when the overlay onto Rock and Roller Coaster is going to be? Like, I figured once they told us it was shutting down, they'd be like, but you'll be able to see Muppet stuff at this time for Rock and Roller Coaster.
I think we'll get that here soon. I think they'll maybe like June 8th, they'll be like, hey, Rock and Roller Coaster, here it is. Or maybe they want to.
Is it because they just did the big refurb on it and it literally just opened up just a couple months ago where it's been down for a while? I
think that has to do something with it. They want some space in between. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a huge refurb. It's going to be a few months. To Mama Melrose, if for people who don't go back there as much as I do, I think it's closing first because the Christmas shop never reopened after COVID. That studio store never reopened fully after COVID. They opened it up for the Jollywood Nights this year, and I don't think they've opened it for anything really outside of that. So that little area they can start work on and start demoing things that they need to demo and working that way out and keep Muppet Vision and Pizza Rizzo as a place for a few weeks. I mean, you're talking about maybe a month worth of use and a proper farewell. I mean, no one's really going to mourn Mama Melrose. It doesn't fit the theme for Muppets and the Muppet Land.
So do we think they're just going to turn that into a restaurant in Monstropolis? Or like, where's the roller coaster going to go? Like, I'm trying to figure out where's that building going to go for a suspended coaster.
The coaster's going outside. It's in the parking lot. What is parking lot now? So there's a couple of gates right there, and it's going to go beyond the gates. I think Harry's, is that the name of the sushi place?
I don't remember the name of the sushi place.
I can't think of
I was going to say, like, they have to put a restaurant in there. If they're taking out two, like a sit down and a quick service, I feel like they have to replace it with something similar.
Maybe like two quick service or something. Like you said, they're taking out two. So I would think, and if one's sushi's polarizing. So you almost need like a American type food in there along, too, because especially if it's going to attract a lot of kids. Sushi's not going to satisfy children. It's almost like
I think it's going to be straight sushi. It's Harry Housens or Housens. Harry Housens is how it's pronounced. It's Japanese, but that's in the art. You can see it back there. You can see the big chopsticks. I think it's going to be kind of like a cowfish scenario that's over in Universal. That's very much a sushi / hamburger place. So it can kind of be both. I'm not saying it's going to be a hamburger sushi. It might be sushi and just generic Japanese or a little bit more open. But I think would they keep pizza at where Pizza Rizzo and Pizza Planet have? I mean, there's pizza ovens back there.
Yeah.
So Monsters Pizza.
And it's the only place in Hollywood Studios you can really get pizza, right? Was there?
I think so.
Yeah, because I think, isn't there like flatbreads at ABC Commissary?
Yeah, but it's not, traditional pizza, the round one with the big crust.
Yeah. Sushi's good because that's something that's lacking in a lot of the parks. If Asian flair is like if you're tired of eating the chicken tenders, the microwave pizza, the normal kind of stuff.
I mean,
I can't think of anywhere else in Hollywood Studios or outside of Epcot that you can get sushi unless I'm forgetting something.
California Grill.
I was going to say, and also in Disney Springs, they have the, I can't remember the name of the Japanese restaurant there. Something Moda. Isn't it something Moda? I can't remember. But they have a Japanese restaurant
Moda
too.
Moda Asia, something like that.
Yeah, because you can get like ramen and sushi and everything there. But if they did something like that and it was like sushi, but they also did, if it was more like sit down, like they're kind of taking where Mama Melrose is and it's sit down, you could almost have like a hibachi, not like, the full where they do this thing in front of you, but like with the teriyaki chicken or hibachi steak and the veggies and stuff. That might be something, because we have a place close to us called like Mr. Tokyo, and they don't do the big tables and cook the food in front of you. It's just you order it and then they bring it out.
But you have that over in Epcot.
In Japan.
No, yeah, in Japan Pavilion.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like, if it's not just sushi, like what would they put with it that kind of goes with it?
I mean, that makes sense. But you'd have to make it like a.
Is it Mama Melrose
place.
a sit-down restaurant?
It is. So it's all Italian, and like I said, doesn't really. It was supposed to be a Swedish chef restaurant, if I like a learn to cook type thing. From the Swedish chef, and that got derailed. So they put Mama Melrose back there, which we've enjoyed. I mean, we're going to miss it. It's one of our not go-tos, but if we want to sit down that's not expensive in studios, that's where we go.
So the part that you're really sad about is Muppet Vision 3D leaving more than the restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good show. I'm really disappointed because I won't be there. We're going on a cruise. We'll be somewhere in Alaska on June 7th. And I've joked with my wife saying that I'm canceling the trip. We're going to spend a week at All Star Music so we can spend 7 days in Hollywood Studios watching Muppet Vision all week. That's the only thing we're doing, just the two of us.
Isn't that cruise supposed to be for your anniversary?
It is.
That you told your wife you're now going to redirect for Muppet Morning?
So our anniversary cruise was going to be a Muppet week of Muppet stuff.
I'm sure she will love that.
She called me as soon as I texted her. I was like, okay, I've canceled the cruise. I didn't say I'm canceling. I said I've canceled the cruise so we can spend a week at Disney World at All Star to watch the Muppets.
And she said no.
I was like, we're not going to any other park but Hollywood Studios. And she called and she goes, are you crazy? I'm like, have you met me?
She's like, on the divorce proceedings, that will be. I canceled the cruise, and we're only going to see Muppets for 7 days.
I mean, yeah, I'm disappointed in it. We're going to go for Epic Universe opening the week before, so I'm going to carve out a little time, go over there, whether it's by myself or not, and just watch it one more time. So I'm at peace with it leaving, as long as they do the promise of we're going to put it somewhere else. Where you can experience it. Right.
The movie, the actual Muppet Vision.
Yeah. Which begs the question, where would y'all want to see it? If somebody put a gun to your head and said, hey, Muppet Vision has to go one place, where are they going to put it?
Where Country Bear Jamboree is. Just take it out and put it in there.
Yes. Who likes the Country Bears? Let's be honest.
I've never seen the show, to be honest.
I haven't either.
I saw the old one. It was creepy. The new one, I haven't seen it, but I've seen videos online, and I don't have any desire to go sit through that.
See, I think that the Imagination Theater in Epcot, where they show the Pixar shorts,
that'd be a good spot.
Because it's a small theater. You don't need anything huge. Obviously, they're closing Muppets because it's not a big draw to a lot of people. So you put it in there, do some sprucing up of everything where you can put Statler and Waldorf back up in the balcony. And you're not showing stuff that you can watch on Disney Plus.
Right. Or they release it to Disney Plus.
But then you still don't get the full effect of it because you don't have Statler and Waldorf.
Or the
and the Rabbit and Peter Rabbit coming out. And,
yeah.
Right.
Back of the theater.
Yeah, and Swedish Chef shooting the cannon.
Well, I feel like every bit of park needs somewhere where you can sit, especially when it's hot. Like whether it's like the Frozen sing-along or what used to be Little Mermaid or, A Bug's Life in Animal Kingdom. Like, these aren't the most exciting thrill ride like I have to do when I'm at Disney. But they're usually things that have like a 5-minute wait time, which is a 0. You go in the next show. And, especially on anything that's hotter than an 85-degree day, it's a nice respite from the hot outside. And it's entertaining. Like the PhilharMagic in Magic Kingdom. We had been a ton of times before, my kids and I, we finally went in there because it was so hot one day and it's the only thing that didn't have a wait. And, now it's one of the things that kids love to do every time they go. And it's, it's not exciting. It's not the best thing, but it is like a nice 15-minute break where you're sitting, where it's air conditioned, and you don't have to like really think while you're in there because the kids are entertained and you can just rest. So I think every little bit of park needs something like, and Muppets had a different humor than the rest of Disney did, which I think the sarcastic kind of, I don't know exactly what you title their humor, but I think it was needed, in the parks.
It's very dated because of who they are. And, that's the original crew, Frank Oz, Jim Henson, all those guys doing that. So, and being Jim's last hurrah, last directing, and last time being Kermit, it holds a special place in a lot of the Muppet fans. So that needs to be out there in some way for people to enjoy it and introduce it to their kids. Like, I would love Travis to watch it later down in his life when he can understand what it's all about and how fun it is. But at home, you don't get that 3D element. You don't get Sweetums running through your house when they're looking for it. So you're missing those things.
Mm-hmm. But I think they're in Epcot, like you said. That would be a really good spot for it.
Yeah, just change Imagination Pavilion to Muppets.
Muppetville.
They could just take Figment away.
Figment could be a Muppet.
Well,
What
hot
is
topic. There are people that love Figment. I think he's creepy.
I'm not
But they could just redo that ride into something Muppety instead. Because to me, that would make more sense than Rock and Roller Coaster having the change.
I think that's gonna be fun. I think they can introduce something in there that's gonna make it entertaining and sarcastic, and you're gonna slip on a banana peel that Fozzie put down and go through a corkscrew.
I mean, it'll still be fun. Like Rock and Roller Coaster's fun. I can only ride it one time because it hurts my head. But I was gonna say, what do we think the timeline is for Monstropolis being a thing? Like if they're shutting everything down in June, like what do we think the opening date ish time might be for that?
I give it 2 years.
Yeah. If they're going to redo the whole thing, unless they're going to open it in stages, which I don't know if they would do that.
I don't think they could, unless what they're going to do is because the theater's going to stay. That's the big thing. Like the reason they chose to take away Muppets and put monsters there is because the infrastructure that they want to use is already there. They just have to retheme a lot of that stuff. So everything that's there could potentially open within a year.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say you're putting Monsters Laugh Floor into Muppets Vision 3D Theater.
I was going to ask, is that the new Monsters Laugh floor? Is that the plan for that?
It would make sense for it to move there.
Yeah, it would make plenty of sense. So that's why Disney won't do it.
I love Monsters Laugh Floor, by the way.
And I've never done it, but
It's so funny.
once you pull it out of Tomorrowland, you have to say, okay, we've got to make a reason that it needs to go somewhere else. So we have to upgrade it. We have to make the graphics look better, make the theater more, a little bit more up to date. Bring that in, and then you walk into Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom, and now you have two huge empty theaters.
I was going to say, what are they going to replace it with?
This gone, and then across the street you're going to have Laugh Floor gone.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think Laugh Floor goes out unless they're planning on doing a huge Tomorrowland overhaul, which they haven't even talked about announcing.
Mm-mm.
That's also, I mean, I know they don't have really room for a roller coaster, but they have all this empty space when they're talking about, they have all that Disney Junior space that they could utilize beside Toy Story Land, where the Star Wars Theater and the Little Mermaid Theater are. But again, that couldn't fit a roller coaster for Monstropolis.
Easily could have. And they could have, because there's a parking garage behind the...
We don't have a park, so I don't know.
Well, it's for cast members. So it's not a general public one. But they could easily reroute everything that.
Well, and when they were doing the first concept arts, like they did 2 different concept arts for Monstropolis, and one looked like where the Muppets are, and the other one looked like that area. What is that called? It
used to be Animation Courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But whatever it's called now with the Star Wars stuff and that,
It's
like
Star
one
Wars
of
Launch
the
Bay.
launch bay, like then it looked like launch, like, so they did have 2 different concept arts and they look like those 2 different areas. And I think that's why the rumors were going around that it was either going to be the Muppet Courtyard or going to be Launch Bay.
But I think end of the day, they had to say, hey, Muppets is going to be easier to theme for monsters instead of having to tear everything down and rebuild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the only thing they really have to build is the building and the roller coaster, like that part, and then everything else is just going to be like rethemed and
they have to
painted.
take the Miss Piggy fountain out and change it to a Mike Wazowski fountain. Small little things.
I was saying it would have been perfect right there if you would have gone like Pixar to Pixar, or like Monstropolis to Toy Story Land. Like if you have kids, it would be easy to transition because those are both kind of younger kids areas as opposed to like Star Wars land. I like you said, I'm sure financially it made more sense to be on the other side of the park. And there's not a lot on the other side of the park.
The weird thing to me is you have Monsters, which originally was talked about early 2000s with the roller coaster going into where the third track for Toy Story is now. But the whole land got announced this year. Then you have Tropical Americas that have closed Dinorama, or not Dinorama, but the Chester and Hester's. That's all officially closed now.
Mm-hmm.
That was officially announced on what they're doing this year, with the first tease of it last year. Well, I rephrase. All that was announced last year, and then the Tropical America was teased in 2023. I'm still thinking it's 2024. But you have those two moving forward. But Villains Land, which was first teased in 2022, 2021, still nothing moving on it.
Nothing.
And I'm like,
everyone at Disney is on board for some reason because, like you said, it got announced, but it's almost like they're getting pushback from or something's not right with it because why haven't they moved forward?
I would think that even if it has to do with something with the Rivers of America, that you would be able to start building it now and start getting your walkway where you're going to. And I don't know the mechanics behind all this with what's going on back there, but the small things you've already announced the same year have started being built within the year. And then the Rivers of America for Cars Land hasn't been touched. You've got cranes over there working supposedly on Big Thunder. I mean, it's not supposedly, they are working on Big Thunder. And then Rivers is still going through this whole, is it closing thing? But here we are, Muppets, we're closing that at June.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, like I said, I think 2 years you'll have Monsters up and running.
Do we think that part of why like Villains and the car stuff is revenue for Disney, like where they're not having, like, I mean, they're running a free dining promo in the summer. Like that's kind of crazy that they have that. That just shows that they don't have as many people booked and they want more people there. And that's why they're trying to get them there. And I think big part of it's going to be Epic Universe with them opening and pulling stuff away. So maybe it's like, oh, we don't have as much money in that last quarter of last year that they thought they were going to have. So they can do things like Monstropolis because they do have most of the stuff already there. And then they just have, the ride that they have to build. So it costs a lot less to do that than to reroute, to take away Rivers of America, to make an entire new land from the ground up.
That's what I think.
The way Disney works, though, is that it's, they don't want to pull the bandage off fast. They just want to push stuff. As like if you talk to people in the industry, they say the construction side of stuff, Disney's so hands-on, and so you have to do it this way. That's what takes them so long on building a parking garage or a replica of a ride. Universal just wants to get people in the seats.
Yeah.
So you have Epic Universe that I posted it on my Facebook today. The ground in 2022 was complete dirt. And here we are 4 months out, and we have a full theme park sitting on top of it and a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Disney took 5 years plus to build Tron.
Yeah.
So that just shows you the scale of what these two places can do. And Disney really needs to just kind of hurry up. They need to see. And it goes back to Mike's point of this is an easy, we can get Monstropolis up and running faster than anything else.
Yeah.
The Tropical Americas is going to take a little bit to build the Encanto house and the carousel and all that stuff. It's not going to take a long time to retheme Restaurantosaurus Rex or Dinosaur to Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So close that. 6 months later, you can reopen those and be good to go.
Mm-hmm. And I just think Disney's definitely going to hurt a little bit after Epic opens with having big things like, Super Nintendo and How to Train Your Dragon and more Harry Potter like that. I think that's really like, and older kids, like, my son's 7 now and all he talks about now is wanting to go to Universal, and he saw that they had like Mario things, and that's what he's talking about. I was like, well, it's not going to be open when we're there in April, but we'll have to make another trip. And I just feel like even for kids like my son's age, 7, they're starting to want the more thrill ride type things. And that type of stuff that they're into, like video games. So
I was just say also a lot of talk I've heard around people like our age is the dark universe, which to me is the most like perplexing. Like, because like you said, it's not Mario, it's not, you know, Harry Potter, it's not themed, but that's what people our age are most excited. That's like the chatter around people our age. They're like, oh my God, they have a dark universe. Oh my, you know, oh my, people that love Halloween, Jason.
it's because it's different.
Yeah, they're like, there's a dark universe. We have to go. Like, I've heard a bunch of girls talk about having like a girls' weekend in the fall to go to HHN and then do Epic in the dark universe. And I think that's kind of completely out of Disney's, like, their view. Anything dark, they don't really, it's not in the plans. And so I think, like you said, they're feeling the squeeze of the Epic universe. And I think where you and I would think logically, put villains where maybe Muppet Land is, put Monstropolis where Disney Junior is, and then kind of put Cars where the, you know, America's is, and Magic Kingdom. But like Jason said, Disney they are step-by-step people. They're not, let's do it now, let's tear everything up and go. And that's one thing that not bothers me, but I hate being around certain places in Disney and seeing the walls where they're doing construction behind them. It takes away, as they say, it takes away some of the magic when something's constantly under construction.
Which I'll even talk bad about Universal for once. They closed Poseidon's Fury in 2023. I mean, I was there one of the last weekends, and I think that was the week we were there for my first training with Magical Travel, and I went in and did it for my last time, and they have done
that was
nothing.
really cool. That was a really cool show, like so cool.
And then you have the Sinbad Theater right there too. So both of those, Sinbad has been sitting there for years collecting dust.
Yeah.
And now you have Poseidon that's collecting dust for a few years. There's rumors out there
that also going to say the rumors that they're going to retheme it to like Zelda.
I've heard Zelda for the front half of Lost Continent, and then the back half they would theme it to the Forbidden Journey, or not Forbidden Journey, the Forbidden Forest.
Oh, like extend.
So you'd be walking through the Forbidden Forest to get to the Hogwarts and Hogsmeade and all that.
I mean, that would be cool, seeing as Hagrid's motorbike adventure goes through the Forbidden Forest. Like, it would make sense. But they definitely need to do something with it, because that is a big chunk of area.
There's
Universal.
absolutely nothing to do in that area now besides eat at Mythos and the quick service places, and there's the Halloween shop and a couple of little random shops. So, I mean, it's just walking through. But, you know, as soon as Universal says we're going to do something with all that, they're going to shut it down and then a year later reopen it to whatever it is. They just want to get stuff done. And to go back to Epic and what Terri was saying about Dark Universe, look at how much in Epic Universal doesn't own. Like, they're licensing Harry Potter still from Warner Brothers and from Rolling. They're licensing Nintendo from Nintendo. The only reason they're doing How to Train Your Dragon is because Comcast bought DreamWorks a few years ago. The only original Universal thing in Epic is the Dark Universe.
And then their original stuff of like that Celestial Park with the Stardust Racers.
That like completely original, but the only original IP that is Universal is the Monsters, which is what Universal's known for. That's what what really made them a movie theater or movie production company is their monster movies back 100 years ago, literally 100 years ago. Disney doesn't draw on other people. They tried it with Avatar, and then they bought Fox. So now they own Avatar.
Well, here's my other question then. As far as, like, let's say 10 to 15 years from now, which one do you think will be better off? Universal for getting the Epic Universe up and running in 2 years, and not owning all the IP, or Disney for owning all the IP, but they're a slower build, slower burn, you know, you got to wait to get what you want situation?
I think Universal has put themselves in a good position because there's still land to build on over where Epic is. So they can build essentially another theme park if they wanted to, and a lot more hotels. So they can end up with 5 theme parks, including the water park, and be a real competitor to Disney then. I think they're still a real competitor now with Epic coming online, because now you're taking those people to like, oh, I have to go to Universal for a day and see the Harry Potter stuff. Well, it's going to take you 2 days now because you'll want to spend all day in Epic to see what's what's going on at the ministry. In 10, 15 years, the downfall to Universal is that they don't regularly bring their attractions down for maintenance for long periods of time. So they'll bring ET down for like a week and do minor adjustments versus Disney bringing Small World down for 3 months and doing a full refresh of the attraction.
Yeah.
But as long as Comcast owns the theme parks and Universal, I think Comcast knows the theme parks are where the money's at. So they will throw money at it and get stuff built how they need it built. And Disney will finally, in 2 to 3 years, go, oh, crap. Where'd our people go?
Yeah. But I think it hurts neither to have competition. Excuse me.
No,
It might hurt each other to have competition, but as the consumer, I think we can only benefit from them trying to outdo each other because, like she said, there's free dining in the summer now. And Universal has now, like you said, instead of spending 1 day, now you have to spend 2 days there because they have more content to offer. So I think as a consumer, while on paper it might seem more expensive, in reality, you're getting more stuff because they're really in competition now, where they kind of had us in a chokehold for a while of this is just the way it is. You pay what you pay. And if you don't want to pay it, you don't go. But now you're like, look, Disney, I can take one of my days away from you and now give it to Universal that I wasn't designating for. So what are you going to do to bring me back to Disney? And it kind of puts the consumer in the driver's seat for a little while.
So we've been in this rut with Disney since, 2010? With Harry Potter first opening, when, the infamous pictures of Hogsmeade opening and the line went from Islands of Adventure all the way over to where NBC Grill is now. I mean, those thousands of people wanting to go and see this.
Yeah.
And it's not just a straight line. This is like the walkway all the way around is completely packed. And when it opened, it surpassed what everybody thought. And Disney or Universal, they went above and beyond on the theming for Hogsmeade. And then when they opened Diagon Alley, they did the same thing. Disney's like, oh, we have to one up this. And Avatar is a great land. It just doesn't resonate because Avatar doesn't have
the following that Harry Potter does.
Right. It's both movies have made over $2 billion, but it's because it's a cool movie to go see. There's not the fan base behind it.
There's no lore behind it. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter's had that time to build the lore. It's the fan base. People are passing Harry Potter down from, we read it growing up when it was first coming out, and we're passing it down to our children who are now getting old enough to really get into this. And here in a few years, they're going to be passing it down to their kids. No matter what people think about Rowling and her political views or anything like that, everything is still rolling in the money for Harry Potter because people just love those characters. I mean, they're making a whole nother series on HBO Max based off that because it's been, 10, 15 years since the last movie came out? So
for my 26th birthday, we had a Harry Potter themed birthday. As an adult, I've never had a Disney themed birthday party, but I had a Harry Potter themed, and I had everyone dress in their house colors. I made everyone go on Pottermore and take the test to know what their house was. And we all wore our house colors. We
see what Disney has tried to do, though, with Star Wars. Star Wars is a great land. It's beautifully done. It gets you immersed into the lore a little bit, but not a lot. It's still not what Star Wars fans wanted. Well, like what Harry Potter fans got. We want to visit the sites that we see in the movies. And going to Batuu, which is a completely made up place, doesn't resonate with the fans. Yeah, seeing the Falcon does, but if you saw the Falcon on Hoth or in Tatooine, that would have resonated versus seeing it on this obscure planet on the outer rim. So being able to walk down the streets, and that's the thing about Harry Potter and Epic. Seeing the streets in Fantastic Beast, I'm not really excited for. Like when they said we're building Diagon Alley, I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool. I want to walk down that. But when I first saw the first looks of the Ministry, I'm like, holy crud. I want to see that. I want to walk in there. I don't care how long that line is. I'm going to do it.
I want to know how they're going to, what the effect's going to be when we go through the flu. When we go through that, I just want to, really see what that's going to be. Because I know it's going to be cool, whatever it is.
You got to think it's probably something like Guardians where the lights go
That's
down,
what I was thinking. And all of a
like
sudden
that.
the walls change and you move. Yeah. It's got to be something like that.
But I'm excited for it. And I think Disney's going to have to look at what Epic's doing. And the whole reason of the conversation coming back is Muppets closing. This is Band-Aids that they're putting on to hope people come over. But at the same time, like these things over at Epic are things we grew up with. That the parents going on vacation, we watched Harry Potter. We didn't necessarily watch Dark Universe, but The Mummy and that type of stuff we knew about. We grew up playing the Mario games, the Donkey Kong games, and playing with Yoshi and that stuff. So those characters resonate with us. How to Train Your Dragon started coming out soon after I got out of high school, was in college type thing. So it's not resonating so much with me, but it's still there. It's still stuff that we do with our kids. So this
I was going to say, my
action,
son loves all the How to Train Your Dragon. I've seen all of them because he loves to watch them.
Yeah. I've only seen the one, but we plan on seeing the one that's coming out this summer, coincidentally, right after the theme park opens. So it's like, here, go see this. Oh, and by the way, we have this theme park. You can go see all this stuff for real life. So
yeah.
Whereas Monsters Inc., the last movie was Monsters University, which was, mid 2000s, like 2000.
And then they did Monsters at Work as the Disney Plus series.
And I think that only had 2 seasons. So it doesn't resonate so much with what's going on. And I think Terri was the one who was talking about Monsters is old, because that's what her kid said.
Old. I was like, okay, expert.
Yeah. And Muppets are old too. I'm not going to, I will sit there and say Muppets, if they had hair, Kermit would be very gray, but I think they have a lasting impression on people because we all grew up with the Muppets. And
it's a media kind of, like you said, with the Harry Potter and Super Mario Brothers. It's like you're creating legacies that you enjoyed it, and your kids enjoyed it, and their kids are going to enjoy it.
Yeah, the Muppets were one of those of our parents watched the Muppet Show at night and pass it to us.
Yeah. But I think it helps because Disney owns so much, like ABC and ESPN and just
Fox.
I think it helps sometimes that they kind of get challenged by a Universal Epic Universe situation where I think sometimes they rest on their laurels. As in, we're Disney. Everyone's going to come to Disney World, so we can take 3 years to redo something because it doesn't matter because we have a cult following that's always going to come. So I think it does, again, it benefits the consumer that there's a competitor out there that puts a product out that kind of puts the fire under their pants to do something bigger or better. Like you said, Pandora didn't pan out the way that they thought it would, which is a beautiful land. And my husband and my son have watched all the avatars that are out so far. I haven't watched them. I don't know any avatar lore, so it doesn't mean anything to me. And I've also not seen all the Harry Potters, but I know a lot about Harry Potter, and I'm more excited about Harry Potter than I am Avatar because it just strikes a different chord. So I think the fact that Disney has to do something sometimes, I hope it will benefit us more.
I foresee there'll be delays. There's always delays.
And what might be happening is that they say, hey, we can we can move Monsters Laugh Floor over into the Muppets Theater and never start building the coaster. And now we have a Monsters themed land with a subpar anchor attraction.
That's a terrible, I love Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, but that's a terrible anchor attraction. I don't know if that's going to bring people out. Like, we go there again when it's hot and it's never a long wait, and our kids laugh, at Mike Wazowski the whole time, and it is cute and clever, but it's never anything that we would like fast pass or lightning lane for, or wait more than 10, 15 minutes for, that kind of situation. Yeah,
definitely not. I don't think it would be, especially for a anchor land like Galaxy's Edge is.
Yeah.
Coming in and out of that's not something that's going to be like, oh, I need to go over here and do that. They need to put that roller coaster needs to be built. Like, they should have already started building prep for that.
Like, if you go from Toy Story Land to Star Wars, And coming out, it almost needs to be fully immersive because you've just walked through two fully immersed. It's not like Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror where they're just rides on a street. Like you've just went through two fully immersive lands, and to come out and just go to like Monsters and Laugh Floor, it's going to be and a sushi bar. That's going to be a disappointment. You know, they're going to need a big bang there, because after that, what is there? Like Indiana Jones,
or Star Tours right after, and then the Stuntacular.
Yeah,
and there's no attractions on that side of the park, because then you have the Mickey and Minnie Shorts and Frozen Ever After.
Yeah, so it's like they need a big bang coming out of there to anchor that side of the park down.
I think Monsters will be a 2-phase, most likely. Open up part of it first, and then the roller coaster opens a little bit later. I wouldn't say much later, but I think they can. There's not much to do in Hollywood Studios, so when they shut down Muppets, they're losing capacity and they need something to do. So they need to get that back online pretty fast.
Didn't they do Galaxy's Edge a little bit in phases where they opened it with Millennium Falcon and then Rise opened like months later?
Yeah. And I don't think that was planned that way. At the end of the day, what they're doing in Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom is, like I've said multiple times, a Band-Aid they're trying to put on to fix their inconsistencies with trying to compete with the theme park down the road.
I mean, you said it with like Harry Potter when they put that in, that just made Disney have to be better and more immersive in their lands. Like they just had to, because they had to try to compete with the scale that Universal did with that.
Disney never expected Universal to pull something like that out of their pocket. So when it comes down to the lands, what they're doing, they've really got to one up themselves over there at Disney and say, okay, Tropical America, is this dark ride really going to impress me that you're going to do for Encanto?
I think it's going to be fun, and it's probably going to be a no height required ride, I'm going to assume, because Animal Kingdom just doesn't have that. Like they just don't have a lot of options for rides.
But then when you talk about Disney, the dinosaur ride being turned to Indiana Jones, they said it's going to be a brand new attraction, new story and everything. Mm-hmm. But do they say, let's do the cheapest thing and let's just go with the Disneyland story to put over here, since we already have that stuff built out? For Monsters, they are already showing us that they're going to kind of go cheap on it by giving us static AAs for the ride, if that rumor is true. So we don't know if or when we'll ever see Cars and Villains. I think we'll see Cars before we ever see Villains, because I've been shouting it every time. They've been talking about it forever and they still haven't moved dirt. So
I think they made that announcement to get people excited, but they don't actually want to do anything with it.
Final thoughts on Muppets and Monsters. We won't. I'll mention it probably like 3 more times this year before it closes, just to make sure that everybody knows that I'm a Muppet fan and I'm against this. But
I'm excited that Hollywood Studios is just getting another ride. Like I feel like that helps with things, but definitely gonna miss Muppets like in that area, and that they're just changing the whole thing. I think it took long enough to change. Like Terri's son was saying about Monsters Inc. being kind of old, and that they talked about doing something similar to this however many years ago when it got leaked. And then now they're just now doing it in 2025. And we're probably looking at, like you said, Jason, 2 years before we have something that just, I don't know. I feel like people might forget about what's happening before it opens.
Yeah, by the time it opens, Universal will have 4 more rides and another land built.
Yeah. I think they should maybe leave some Muppet Easter eggs. I don't know how, but in a sweet way, in like a remembering type way, like, like maybe leave like the Miss Piggy fountain, maybe not front and center, but leave it like in the back corners, or like have animal handprints in the sidewalk or something like that, just as a nod to what used to be there and what helped build Hollywood Studios. Just a little like nostalgia play.
The one I want one Easter egg to stay for sure, and that's the key under the rug when you walk into Muppets. You know, there's a sign that says they're out for some reason. Keys under the mat, and you lift the mat up, and there's a key under there. So it's a small, subtle thing you can keep. It doesn't have to be rethemed or anything. It's just something you kept from Muppet Vision, and everybody who's gone through it knows that's there. But as for in the land, Pizza Rizzo, you know, if you look at the sign, there's one best pizza on the planet or something like that to kind of pay homage to Pizza Planet. I think they can do something where it's Rat and Pizza Planet all together.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because if it's like set in like Monsters Inc. college universe, if they make it a like, quote unquote crappy pizza place, because, you know, that's all that college students eat.
Yeah.
You know, they could definitely, like you said, throw the Rat and the Pizza Planet homage in there in a clever, punny way.
We're done with the news for now. We'll shoot it over for a little commercial break for Magical Travel, and we'll come back with our theme park draft.
Are you dreaming of your next adventure but overwhelmed by planning? Magical Travel has you covered. With over 22 years in the business, we specialize in Disney destinations, Universal Studios, cruise vacations, and all-inclusive resort getaways. Our services are 100% complimentary when you book a vacation package with one of our knowledgeable agents. Request a free quote to start the planning process at magicaltravel.com. Mention our podcast to be connected with one of our agents you're listening to if you like what you hear.
Today we are doing a great, well, I say great, we don't know yet. We hope it's a fun episode. We're going to do our draft pick of a land in Disney. So if we're creating our own, what would we want in this land? We can only use Walt Disney World attractions, and it's going to be a dark ride, a thrill ride, a restaurant, and a show. Our order is going to be Rachel, Myka, me, and then Terri, and it's going to be a snake draft. So it's going to be fun. And at the end, we're going to leave it up to y'all on who you think has the best draft. So, Rachel, why don't you go first with your draft picks?
So for Dark Ride, I'm going with the Haunted Mansion.
I could have guessed that, but you were going with that one.
Yeah.
You're like, that's why we're doing this first. I'm getting my Haunted Mansion.
I wanted that one. So
yeah, I'm glad like we're not doing like overall Disney, because would you be able to put a fine line between, could I pick Holiday Haunted Mansion or could I do Haunted Mansion? So being that we're just doing Walt Disney World, obviously we don't have the overlay. But yeah, that's a good
I would
one.
pick the Holiday Haunted Mansion though, if between the two.
I think it's
so
much
good.
edge. Like,
yeah.
When we got stuck on it this year, it was great. I am disappointed. I didn't put that one on my list, surprisingly.
You didn't put that one on your list?
No.
It was on my list.
It's one of my favorites because I'm thinking outside the box of what y'all would pick, and then some of my favorite ones. So obviously, too, just to be clear that we cannot pick anything that somebody else has picked. Haunted Mansion is off the table. All right, Myka.
I picked Pirates of the Caribbean because for me, I can't go to Magic Kingdom without riding it at least one time. I feel like Haunted Mansion's the same way, but Pirates is my number one.
Man, y'all are going through these dark rides. I'm going to go off the beaten path of dark ride and go ahead and pick my thrill ride, and that's going to be Rock and Roller Coaster. Because I don't want anybody to take Rock and Roller Coaster. Y'all are taking all the dark rides. I'm like, okay.
It's not on my list at all.
It wasn't on my list either.
Good.
It hurts my head, so I don't ride it.
The only reason I picked it is because it's
going to have a Muppets overlay.
Yeah, it's a Muppet overlay. It's the actual only like real coaster to me at Disney with it going upside down at 0 to 60 real fast. So it feels like a real coaster that you'd get over at Universal or at Six Flags or something like that. And then there's the copy over in Europe somewhere, but it feels like a real roller coaster. So, all right, Terri, what is your first pick?
So we're not all doing dark rides. I'll stick with you and do thrill rides. And since I don't ride a lot of rides, my thrill ride is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That's as spicy as I get. So
I did think about putting that one on, and it was to mess with you because I knew you wouldn't pick any of the good ones.
Yeah, no, my husband was giving me, and I was like, I mean, I could lie and say those are my favorites, but for me, Seven Dwarfs is as crazy as I get.
But
Mine Train was on my list.
It's a good roller coaster, I will say. It's fun.
It has a good mix too. It's the thrill, and then you have the nice little dark ride component to it, going through the mine.
Yeah.
I like when you can rock the.
We had the whole, like, there were people in it and we all had it rocking.
Yeah.
All of us
Yep.
were working and like all of them were swinging. It was a lot of fun.
The weird thing to me was they made such a big deal about the rocking when they said, "Hey, it's going to be this coaster that rocks," and then it's very subtle unless you actually work at swinging the thing when you're sitting around. And I'm fat, so when I sit down, the whole thing just leans my way. Terry, what's your round
So
two?
now I'll choose my dark ride. How about that?
Yeah.
And you guys can tell me this if it counts or not. The Pandora's Flight of Passage. Is that a
I feel like that
dark
could
ride?
be kind of dark or a thrill ride.
I'll take it as dark.
In the dark. I mean, it's a
I
big
think-
screen in front of you, but
I think Disney puts it more toward a thrill, but I would consider it dark. So it's me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll do show, and no one will guess my show.
Is it a current show?
It is. Carousel of Progress.
Oh, see, I thought about that as a show or an attraction, and it was kind of that teeters the line there.
It's just like I love Muppets, and Muppets is on kind of on my list. I didn't want to be cliche and just go Muppets, but I always have to do Carousel of Progress. Muppets I've done periodically, but just the history behind Carousel and that we have it here, and it was 64 World's Fair and all that. I just love it. So that's my show. It was Carousel Progress. Myka.
Okay. I'm also going to go show. And I'm going to put The Lion King.
Cool.
I had that.
I have not seen that
I had that.
since it moved.
Which is forever.
Yeah.
Gracious.
2012, 2013.
Go watch it.
It's so
I mean, it's
good.
good. I enjoyed it
So
when I saw
good.
it, but
Yeah.
since we started doing Animal Kingdom first, when we were doing big park hops, we did Flight of Passage, straight to Safari, and then out. Like we were doing all 4 parks in a day, so there was no time for festival.
All right, Rachel.
Okay, so I'm going to do my show. I'm going to go The Enchanted Tiki Room.
I had Tiki Room as my number 2.
It's just like a nostalgia piece for me, and my mom loves it, and I just remember always having to do it with my mom when I was little, and the song gets stuck in your head.
In the Tiki
Tiki room.
Kova, when we went, when he was 4, we had to watch it 3 times in a row. Like we had to get out and get right back in because he loved it so much.
I like the clicking sound
Yeah.
in there. Like that's
Of
the
the
odd thing.
animatronics moving.
Yes. I just like that little.
He loves that. He loves that show. So we have to watch it every time.
It's a nice break on that side of the park when it's really hot and crowded. It's never really a wait to get in. You can
You
just
can
always
take your
go
Dole
in
Whip
there.
in with you if you want it.
Yeah. You can just sit for a little while.
Okay, Rachel has another pick.
I'm going to do restaurant. I'm going to go with Le Cellier at Epcot.
Ooh.
I don't like Le Cellier.
Never
Why?
been there.
When it comes to steaks, I'm a yachtsman. I like going to yachtsman. We did Le Cellier for lunch one year and then yachtsman that night for dinner. And we had a better experience and better food at yachtsman. But it's I think it's got overhyped for me. Like everybody talked about Le Cellier and it's like, oh, it's so great. It's so great. And I went in there. I'm like, I had the same steak at Texas Roadhouse.
That's Disney food for you.
I've done Dark Ride, Show, Thrill Ride. I'm going to go with Cosmic Rewind.
I was going to pick that one. But it just because it does have that element of the speed and the backwards and everything. But it just doesn't feel like a roller coaster so much on the outside world. Like, would it be a top 10 coaster to me?
I don't know. I think it's really fun.
It's fun. I'm not saying it's not. It's not a top.
I mean,
10.
if we're going in the lines of actual, like, what is a roller coaster like I have here at Carowinds in Charlotte, where we have, like,
Yeah.
one of the tallest giga coasters, like, no, it doesn't compare to that, but it's still fun.
It's not even in like my top for Orlando. I'll do restaurant, and my restaurant's going to be Muppet themed. I have to have something Muppet. It's going to be the Regal Eagle Smokehouse in Epcot.
That was on my list as well.
I just ate there last time I was in Disney. What was it? December. And it was such a good meal.
It is.
It's a good deal when you have the
underrated.
dining plan too. If you can get the alcoholic beverage in there with it, it was a really good deal for a meal in there.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I really like Regal Eagle.
I'm a picky eater, so naturally when I'm walking around, I don't eat Chinese or anything like that. So getting a burger at Regal Eagle, and their French fries are great, and it's
French fries are good.
Yeah, I think I had the loaded fries. Is that what it was?
I think so.
Or pulled pork? I don't know. I had something that was really good.
But I remember walking by and I need to try this place. And every time I'm in Epcot, at least by myself, I go and eat there.
Their mac and cheese is good too.
Yes. I did have their mac and cheese.
And it's like the spiraling noodles.
Oh, it's the best.
Mm-hmm. It holds all the cheese.
And it's themed to the Muppets. So,
I didn't realize that's what it was themed to.
yeah, it's Sam the Eagle. When you walk in, that's Sam the Eagle on the sign, and it's not in your face like Pizza Rizzo is, and it's actually good food. Like Pizza Rizzo is bad pizza, and that was on my list. But you know what you're going to when you're eating that, because every pizza in Disney is bad unless it's like Via Napoli or something like that. What's the one in Disney Springs?
Blazes?
Pizza Ponte.
Oh, I was gonna say they have that. Don't they have that Blazes pizza
Yeah,
too, or they
Blazes.
used to?
They still do, but it's a
Okay.
third party. Pizza Ponte is run by the same people who run Via Napoli. So those are good pizzas. But Pizza Rizzo is bad pizza, and the only reason you eat there is because it's bad pizza and Muppets. Terri?
But I've never eaten in America for that reason. Like I have the opposite reason that you just said. Because when I'm in Epcot, I'm like, oh, I want anything but American food here. Like there's so honestly, it's never crossed my mind to even try out any restaurant in America. So that's really fun. I just love the way different people think. That's so funny to me.
All right, Terry, you're up.
While we're on food, I'll just stick there. Then I will choose. Y'all are also fancy, and I'm choosing the Flame Tree in Animal Kingdom just for the pulled pork barbecue mac and cheese.
That's so good. I had that in November, and I waited longer in that line than my kids waited to go on the hell's that Yeti ride?
Everest.
Expedition Everest.
Everest. Yeah.
They went on Everest, and I waited in line, and I was still in line while they got done.
I really think, like as a mom, you don't really sit down and eat a lot of foods, and that's one of the best things that I bought on a whim from watching an Instagram person that's like, you have to have these foods in Disney World, and now it's a must-have. Like I don't care if we're eating fancy or whatever, I want that pulled pork barbecue mac and cheese. Really good.
So good. All right, and then you have your last one, Terry.
I will say, as far as a show goes, is Indiana Jones considered a show?
Yeah, I had that on my
Indiana
list.
Jones. And
That was on my
I
list.
like it, but my kids love it. Like, it is a must stop for them. They have to watch it. My little one still calls it Indian and the Jones. But they love it. We have to do it. Again, it's a nice sit down, get a box of popcorn and a drink, take a break, watch everything. So I really do wish they would kind of change up the plot line, the little storyline they have a little bit after so long.
I'm kind of worried if it's going to stick around after they open Indiana Jones, the ride in Animal Kingdom. I know its capacity over at Hollywood Studios versus Animal Kingdom, but you have an outdated show with a brand new ride. Do you take the show offline and bring something new in, or demolish Indiana Jones for a new attraction altogether?
I feel like they if they don't take Indiana Jones away, quote unquote, that IP, they do need to refresh the storyline.
It's been a while since I've watched that show. They can't get rid of the theater. They use that theater for cheer and ceremonies and stuff like that. So they want to keep it. That's the only reason like Universal keeps their theater in Toon Lagoon is for cheer competition.
Well, if you think about it, I don't know any other movie that they could kind of rewrite with it, because like Guardians of the Galaxy, everything like that uses special effects. Not really the stunt effects that, I don't know a movie that Disney's put out recently that they could like show stunts with.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not like a big green screen and just people taped up in the morph suits.
Which that's the thing with like Universal with their Jason Bourne show, the Stunt Spectacular.
I love that show. Oh my God.
It's, they can put some of that green screen, quote unquote, in there because they use a huge LED wall, but you can't use an LED wall on an outdoor theater. So they have to enclose the thing.
I love that Bourne Spectacular show.
It is so
It's so good. Terry, you have to do that when you go to Orlando or Universal.
It's my turn, and I've got a dark ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my dark ride is the TTA, the
What?
People Mover. The People
The
Mover.
people mover.
That's not dark. I guess when you go through thing.
It is a slow-moving ride.
Yeah, I know. And he goes.
That has
it's
no
on a-
height
and it-
restriction.
It's an Omni Mover, and it goes through Space Mountain. It goes through Buzz Lightyear. So yeah, TTA, best. And I will go on record of saying that's the best dark ride that Disney has to offer.
It is pretty great.
Myka, you have a restaurant left.
Well, seeing as Jason and Terry took the two I had, Regal Eagle and Flame Tree Barbecue, the other one I had on my list is Casey's Corner because I love to go and get like the corn dog nuggets.
Casey's is our go-to when we're doing New Year's Eve. We always find a spot right there on Main Street, and we'll all like. Thank goodness for mobile order because now we can order it and one of us will go get the food and come back. But usually we'd all go. One of us would go stand in line, get the food for both of us, and then come back. But it's a good hot dog.
You guys do all quick serve, and I'm like the only one that did like a 2-point sit down.
Because Disney sit down food stinks in the park.
Okay. I have Thrill Ride left.
Yes, you do. What is your thrill ride?
A Big Thunder Mountain, even though it's closed for refurbishment.
For a
Yes,
year.
closed for a whole year at least.
And it might come back and you might hate it.
So do you think they're going to revamp like the whole ride, like the whole way it's done? Or do
No.
you think they're going to like lay new tracks, new carts, things like that?
They're just retracking. They did the same thing, 10 years ago for Disneyland? All right, so to recap, let's go through our list. Rachel, what's yours?
So Rachel's list is the dark ride is Haunted Mansion. The thrill ride is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. The show is Enchanted Tiki Room. And then my restaurant was Le Cellier.
All right, Myka, what's yours?
And my list is my dark ride is Pirates of the Caribbean. My thrill ride was Cosmic Rewind. My show was The Lion King or the Festival of the Lion King. And my restaurant was Casey's Corner.
All right, my list was dark ride is the People Mover, the TTA. My thrill ride was Rock and Roller Coaster featuring Aerosmith. My restaurant is Regal Eagle Smokehouse, and my show was Carousel Progress.
My dark ride was Pandora's Flight of Passage. My thrill ride was Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. My show was Indiana Jones, and my favorite restaurant was Flame Tree Barbecue in Animal Kingdom.
So what we want y'all to do now is to pick which one is your favorite or the best of the of our list of our draft. Who had the best team, the best land, and comment on our post of which one you think it is, and we'll figure it out and let y'all know on the next episode. Speaking of next episode, we're going to have our friend Allison on again. She just went to the Festival of the Arts at Epcot, or as we call it, Farts. And we will talk about what's new, what's returned for that festival. If you want to get a hold of us to plan your Festival of the Arts trip or visit any of these wonderful attractions that we talked about, you can get us at www.magicaltravel.com. Just mention which one you want to talk to. We'll be glad to help you with a no obligation quote for your next family vacation. And until next time, we will see you later.